Hey guys, this is Terry with Futures.io. It's my honor to welcome Brett Barrett from NinjaTrader for today's webinar, Tips and Tricks to Getting the Most Out of NinjaTrader 8. Today, the bullet points for today's webinar are optimize workspace setups and layout, use shortcuts and other tips for fast platform navigation and efficiency, explore properties, settings, and features that every user should know, fully utilize charting and SuperDOM enhancements in your daily trading. Experiment with advanced alert concepts. Now, please feel free to type your questions into the questions box during the webinar, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the event. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do us a favor and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the webinar. And as always, please feel free to share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us a lot. And don't forget that you can now follow us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube at Futures.io. And without further delay, I'll hand it over to Brett.
I appreciate that, Terry. Always a pleasure to come out and talk to you guys on the Futures.io forums. Again, as Terry said, my name is Brett Barrett. I'm one of the product managers here at NinjaTrader. I've been working here for 7 years and been able to attend 1 or 2 of the FIO webinars in the past, so nice to be back in the room. Let's go ahead and try to get my screen going here.
You should have a pop-up to share.
And
okay, looks good.
Should be coming in now.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Terry. All right, Terry, so let's pop into some webinar slides here. So as Terry mentioned, this is the Tips and Tricks webinar. So when I put together the agenda for today's webinar, I just kind of went through the list of items that when I'm going to go through and set up a new workspace and some of the things that I use and work with the product on a daily basis, that those users that utilize NinjaTrader for the trading platform, either just getting started with the platform or have been using the platform for some time, might be able to get some kind of nice little quality of life things that maybe, oh wait, I didn't know about that, or that's interesting, maybe I should check out what's going on there. And it's kind of just to kind of get the juices flowing, and since NinjaTrader really is a trading platform, we really are the basis for idea generation and creating your own add-ons, third-party indicators. You know, we provide the tools in the play box to kind of play in. There's a lot of breadth there to where you can kind of get in and play with. So let's try to dig into a few of those things and see what we can find. So before we get too far started here, I do have a few disclaimers to get through. So I'm just going to run through these really quickly. Bear with me. The risk of loss in trading can be substantial regardless whether it is in securities, futures, contracts, or foreign exchange. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances and financial resources. You may sustain a total loss of the funds that you deposit with your broker to establish and maintain a position in the commodity, futures, or foreign exchange markets, and you may incur losses beyond these amounts. You can learn more about the risks by inquiring with your broker directly. And one more to get through. The presentation is brought to you by NinjaTrader LLC Software Development Company, which owns and supports the NinjaTrader trading platform. NinjaTrader LLC is an affiliated company to the NinjaTrader brokerage. This presentation is for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell any security, futures, foreign exchange contract. Any questions that are not related to NinjaTrader trading platform should be sent to your brokerage firm directly. All right, so thanks for letting me get through those. So first thing out of the gate, I do want to pop into our promotion slide, which we got going on. So we do these very rarely. In fact, this is the second time I've seen it done, and it's a savings event going on right now, at least until Friday, December the 16th. I encourage you guys, and Terry, I don't know if there's a chat room in which you can post this link. Let me see, I don't think I can do chat with this. Guess not.
Yeah, I can post it in the chat. I just got to figure it out real quick.
Okay. If it's too big a deal, don't worry about it. You can always just pop on to NinjaTrader.com. You'll see the banner right on the top page, and to get information on the promotional sale that we've got going on right now, again, until Friday, December 16th. All right, so really quickly, since NinjaTrader 8 is a new product, we just released it in mid-November. Release has been going well. We've been getting through release items that we need to kind of clear to continue to improve the product and have a release that we've been pretty excited about the release, and that's NinjaTrader 8 is our next generation trading platform. And for those of you that may not have tried it out yet, it utilizes a modern technology stack. It takes advantage of full modern PC hardware, so it's fully multi-threaded, also uses the video card for rendering, so it's very important that you kind of have a good multi-core CPU, a decent video card. We've included over 500 user-driven enhancements, and we're going to go through some of those enhancements today, since one of the ideas that I kept going back to when we were developing NinjaTrader 8 is that success is something is being defined as doing a lot of little things right. And so we really try to focus on a lot of little things and doing those little things right. And that's really the kind of idea behind NinjaTrader 8, was that we would just take what we have in NinjaTrader 7 and execute better with it on a new trading platform. What we also did is expanded NinjaTrader support, NinjaScript support. We now have a complete development framework. We've opened it up farther than we've ever opened it up before. We have new NinjaScript objects and base add-ons, which you can really customize the entire platform. You're going to be seeing some interesting things, and we've even already seen that happening, where we've seen third-party partners create entire new windows and add-ons and buttons and all this kind of stuff that we had with NinjaTrader 7. Where there's a will, there's a way with NinjaTrader 7, and with NinjaTrader 8 we kind of brought in support for that kind of stuff and made it a first-class citizen. The other thing we've done with NinjaTrader 8 is we've have a skinned interface. We're now shipping with what we call slate gray skin, but the skin is completely customizable, and I'll show you where that property is here in just a minute. We ship with 5 skins, so if you are kind of a fan of the new design of modern dark skins, then you're going to be right at home. If you're really kind of want to go back to a light skin, maybe it's not as easy to see, you definitely can do that as well. And the other thing we've done with NinjaTrader 8 is we've built the UI in a way that we can regionalize it, meaning we can have different translated languages in the product. We've got English, Spanish, German, and Russian right now. And I'll open some interesting combinations and markets that we can now utilize NinjaTrader, which is nice. All right, so that's NinjaTrader 8. So getting into tips and tricks on NinjaTrader 8. So I'll be jumping kind of in and out of slides here. I'm going to use these slides as a guide to kind of run through the product and just show you a few things that I do on a day-to-day basis and some things that you may not know about. One of the first things we're going to get into is kind of getting started with a workspace layout. So I want to make sure I'm friendly for those of you that may not have seen NinjaTrader before today. We might have various members in the audience of different experience levels with NinjaTrader. And with NinjaTrader, when you first start it up, you're going to get a getting connected window to get connected to your provider and likely a starter workspace, or you can opt out of that and just start up to the control center. And getting a workspace created is usually your first task when you're kind of playing around with the product, opening up new windows and seeing what items might work better for you in your trading style, and just experiment with things. So usually one of the first things you got to do is set up a workspace and understand what a workspace is. So what I'm going to do is dive into creating a few example workspaces and showing a few of those off, and then get into some of the configuration settings and things like that that definitely help you get started creating a workspace faster. So let's minimize all these slides here for now. And I'm actually going to go Workspace, New Workspace here, Untitled 1. And this, when you start NinjaTrader, you're going to get just a blank control center, very similar to this. Now I've got some orders working, things like this. But you're going to get the NinjaTrader Control Center, which is the entry window into the product. And from here, you can open new windows from the menu. You can also open Tools options. You've got our Workspaces, which is what I'm talking about setting up now. We've got Connections, and we've got Help. And so on the new side here, this is how you go about creating your new windows and things like this. So we're going to go New Basic Entry, for example, and this is going to open a Basic Entry window, which is just a order entry interface. And when you kind of get a collection of windows created that resemble something that you're going to want to use on a day-to-day basis, that's called a workspace. And when you save a workspace, that is a collection of window locations and settings that you've done, that you've kind of created. And so when I go to Demo Workspace 1 here and minimize this control center back up, you can see here that it's opened up all the windows in the configuration I kind of pre-set up beforehand here. And I've got various windows here. I've got account data windows, which I went to, and if I go back to my blank workspace here, so I got Untitled 1 here, go into Workspace, Untitled 1, I'll switch back to the blank workspace. And I've kind of built up a workspace by going to New Account Data. And when I open this account data, I get a window, and I can kind of resize it to what size I might want. And I've got these tabs and settings that I can put on here, so I can show executions, strategies, positions, accounts, and something in the log, which just shows log events. And if I go to the Orders tab, there's a bunch of settings and things like this. So if I save this workspace, come over here and hit Save on Untitled 1, come back to Demo Workspace 1. Now I've come back to Demo Workspace 1, I go to Untitled 1, and I've got back to where I've been configured. So that's Workspace 101. So now we take it a step further and we kind of start building a few sample workspaces. And so when I go back to Demo Workspace 1 here, I've kind of went through this process. It took me maybe 3 minutes or so to go through this. And I've set up a simple account data workspace here. And generally, it's not required. Workspaces definitely help you manage when you only have a single monitor. I know a lot of traders typically will have multiple monitors, and you typically would want to set up a kind of, when I have multiple monitors in a trading setup, I'll set up one monitor to be my account dashboard. And so what I'll do, instead of having just a single control center and toggling between, you know, I want to see executions, I want to see orders, I want to right click on the orders, and I want to say filter orders, only active orders. I want to build a workspace that has a dashboard set up for easy use. And so I went through and done that. I've opened a few account data windows. I've got a account window up top showing my various accounts, and I'm connected just to a kinetic simulation account right now. And so I've got my accounts here in the top right, and down below here I've got an account data window with active orders all. And so what I did here is I right clicked on the order grid, filter orders, only show active orders. So now I've got a filtered display only showing active orders. The next thing I did was I right clicked and I went to filter by account, and I can select which account, and I've set up 2 accounts here. These are just 2 simulation accounts. And so depending on if you've got a single or multiple accounts, what's helpful is you can actually set up these displays to show individual accounts. So if you want a monitor, half of a monitor to be account 1 and half of a monitor to be account 2, you can set that up. And so if I switch to Sim 101 here, you'll see that that order goes away, since I have an order on the demo account, which if I right click filter orders, and you'll notice here it now says Sim 101 here in the tab. I'll right click filter orders, I should say filter account, go to demo account, and now I'm just showing the demo account orders. So with these kind of toggles and filters, I can continue building out a workspace. So I've got my active order grid here, I've got my filled order grid here, I've got any rejected orders, so anytime I have submit an order that's invalid, that came back rejected, those will show up here, so I watch that. Then I've got my positions right smack dab in the middle. which I've configured some columns on, including a close button to go ahead and quickly close those positions. So I can just hit close on the Sim 101 account. It'll close it out. You can see that my filled orders populated as well. And then I've got just an order ticket here for quick order entry if I want to quickly do a buy or sell with a specific price. And then I've got a DOM here just showing the, just to place orders, show my average entry price. So here's a kind of sample workspace setting up an account dashboard. You can kind of go through here, and how I'm doing this is that with NinjaTrader 8, I'm doing this very quickly because with our tab setup, this is something that I say my blessings for every time I got to set up a workspace, since we did not have this in NinjaTrader 7, which is I'll hit this plus button here. I'll add in, let's say, an executions tab, for example. Let's say I want an executions tab. I've got my executions tab. Now what I'll do is right-click, move to new window. And you can see we've also got duplicate to new window and move to new window. These are definitely a godsend. So I'll do move to new window. I've got my separate window here. You can see it's matching the exact same size of my other window. And this just makes a workspace setup a breeze. So I'll go through here and just quickly set up, new orders tab, move to new window. Pop it down below, move it into place, and you're done. And you just kind of keep going, duplicate to new window. Now I've got another orders tab. I'm going to right click. Now I want to change this one to be only on the Sim 101 account. Done. And how I will differentiate the two is I will right click on the tab, go to rename. And with renaming a tab, we by default put in this at function, and there's kind of variable keywords here. We've got two of them on this window, which is account and function. So if I were to put a space here and hit this triangle and do account, click OK, this, since I filtered Sim 101, it's going to be the Sim 101 account. Now if I wanted, and I can rename this anything I want, so if I want to put in here, only active orders, click OK. I've got my tab name here, and it just gives me a way to quickly build out an account dashboard. And so that's usually one of the first things I'll do, is just kind of put together a quick account dashboard. All right, so popping back into the slides. One of the things that we usually run through is on a sample workspace is I set up a market analyzer. And what I do with that market analyzer, and for those of you that may not know, let's pop on over. And let's go over to, I believe, Demo Workspace 2. Yes. So I just quickly switched to another workspace, which I had pre-set up, where I've opened a market analyzer by going to New, Market Analyzer. And the market analyzer is kind of a quote window, an ability to put a bunch of instruments into a grid, customize the columns on that grid, and show it in the market analyzer. And that's great and fine, but one of the things that I see a lot of people not taking advantage of is instrument links. Instrument links are found in the top right-hand corner of any window that works with instruments. And you select it, and you're going to get a bunch of options here, and they're colors. And what you do is you select a color. They work as channels, so any window on the same color will receive the same instrument. And what I've done here is I've set up my DOM. I've got it set to red. I've got a chart here as well. It's set to red. And I've got a time and sales, which is also set to red. And so just by quickly selecting instruments on my market analyzer, I'm able to quickly switch between instruments. And this is very nice, even if you only trade a few instruments. And this is particularly useful on, it can be useful on multi-monitor setups, but is particularly useful if you're working with limited real estate. You're on a train with a laptop, a plane with a laptop. You're just wanting to quickly switch between instruments. Definitely works well for that use case. So that's one of the first things I do is I'll usually set up a market analyzer with all the stuff I'm interested in, link it up. All right, and then the next thing I do is I'll run through and configure some of my grids and presets. So when I configure a grid, and I'll go back over here to Demo Workspace 1, this is my account data workspace, and when I say configure a grid, all these, we use grids in a lot of places in the product. We have order grids, account grids, position grids, market analyzer grids, tons of grids, and all of them are configurable with a bunch of properties that you may not even know about. And for example, our account window comes pretty bare with some basic columns. And I went ahead and added a few columns here, and I've done that by right-clicking on our account tab, going down to properties. Doesn't matter where you right-click since these are window properties. And the account data window has a bunch of properties, including where we're going to find our columns. And we've got a bunch of properties. For example, I went ahead and enabled columns such as filled buys and filled sells. This tells me the number of units that I've traded on that account. I've added unrealized P&L, so if I want to see my unrealized P&L calculations. I've added a working buy and working sell columns. And I've also disabled some columns which I don't utilize. For example, I can go ahead and turn off buying power, since buying power is more of a equity trading thing, and I'm not doing anything with equities today. I'm just using it with futures, for example. So I'll turn off buying power. Or, for example, my provider that I connect with doesn't provide a value for something. Well, I'll turn it off, clear it out. And then the next thing I can do is hit this preset button down in the bottom right-hand corner. And before I do that, actually, I click apply. That goes ahead and makes the changes to the grid. I click preset here and pops out save and restore. What preset does is it's just setting a default, a preset that you want to load of settings when you open another account tab. And so if I click save here and click OK, the next time I go ahead and I say, and what I do what I'm saying when I do this is that this is the way I use account grids. Anytime I want to open an account data window with an account grid, I want it to look like this. And so when I go next new and I go down to account data, which holds all your account data, that's going to pop open an account data grid with an orders tab, and I hit plus to add an accounts tab, and it's going to have the exact same columns that I've preset here. So just a way to quickly save you time once you get a setup that you've kind of zeroed in on, you like, you definitely can do that. And again, don't forget, right-click, duplicate a new window. Essentially does the same thing. Just a quicker way to duplicate what you already have there. So I'm constantly, all the time, duplicating a chart to a new window, changing this setting here, changing this property, duplicating a DOM, changing this, and using that as my main way of playing around with things and configuring my workspace. All right. Some hidden gems about grids that you may not be aware of. You can move your mouse over one of the grid lines, and you're going to get the ability to move that grid left or right, that column line. But more importantly, what I do all the time is I'll just come over there, wait till I get the left-right cursor, and then just double-click. Double clicks are kind of nice since it just auto-resizes the grid based on what's in the content. So you want to be like, okay, that average price is cut off. I want to be able to see that better. Let's double-click on average price, and it's going to expand the grid just so you can see it. Real time saver. Now, next thing I'll do is I'll go over here to Demo Workspace 2, and I'll go over here to my Market Analyzer. And the Market Analyzer, for example, you can also add columns. You do this by right-clicking, and since it's a first-class citizen on columns and they're really configurable, you can have any number of columns you want. That's right-click columns. And when I do that, I now can configure the columns based on the available list here. Double-click on a column I want to add. So let's say I want to add a notes column. Notes shows up in the configured list down below. I click OK. And now I have a notes column that I can just type a note into. So some interesting stuff there. All right, so let's pull back over to the discussion outline here. So we've talked about some workspace layouts and approaches. We've talked about the workspace menu, creating a workspace, some tips to kind of building that workspace quickly using the duplicate to new window features and presets. And we've also talked about some interesting grid stuff. So general platform tips. What I wanted to run you through is just some general stuff that I'll go through and set up on a new installation. The first thing here is setting preferred connections. This is a new feature in NinjaTrader 8 we introduced, which in the past with NinjaTrader 7 you had to connect in a specific order to, let's say I want to get my live data on futures from Kinetic, but I want to also connect to my NinjaTrader CQG account to, I should say NinjaTrader Continuum account to place live trades. So you'd have to make sure you always connect it to Kinetic, then CQG second, to make sure that you're getting your live data and historical data from Kinetic. With NinjaTrader 8, we've made that a little better, so you can go over to Tools in the NinjaTrader Control Center, Options, and you can go over to, I'll put this in the center so it's a little easier to see. We have a Market Data category here, and we've got Preferred Connections, Historical and Real-Time. Make it a little bigger so you can see. And I can actually set a preferred connection for historical data requests. This is your minute, your tick, your daily data. And then you can also set a preferred connection for real-time data. So if you wanted to use Kinetic for historical data, let's say you think you have better historical data access on Kinetic, they've given you what you want there, but you want to use your live data feed from NinjaTrader Continuum, since that's your brokerage, and that's what you're trading against. In that case, you would come in here for futures. I would hit the combo box here. I would set Kinetic for historical, and I would go to Preferred Connections Real Time, hit for futures, select NinjaTrader Continuum. And so by doing this, no matter what order I connect to, as soon as I connect to Kinetic, it's going to start using that for historical data. Whenever I connect to NinjaTrader Continuum, it's going to start using that for real time, no matter what connection order you used. So just a nice way to get some more consistency, especially for those of you that use multiple connections and may even be using a NinjaTrader FXCM connection, for example. All right, so with NinjaTrader 8, we added a rollover feature. This is a big time saver. In the past, it was a little painful to get everything rolled over on NinjaTrader 7. You'd have to go in and go to the instrument manager and remove and re-add every contract that you used to use. Not anymore with NinjaTrader 8. With NinjaTrader 8, you're going to go up here to Tools. You're going to go to Database Management. You're going to get a new window here. And the first thing here at the top is Rollover Futures Instrument. This will roll over your futures instrument to the current front month contract. And anything that's shown in this grid is anything that NT's detected as out of date. And it does that based on the rollover date, which is assigned in the instrument manager. And once the current PC time gets greater than or equal to the rollover date, it will show up in this list. You can choose which ones you want to update by check marking, and then click rollover. And when you do that, that'll automatically roll over everything in all your open workspaces. And you can always revisit this anytime. Let's say you're not sure when something will roll over. This is a pretty good a check to come in here and see if anything has actually rolled over. So that's a nice new feature. Next thing I want to run through is, the first thing I'll do is, if I'm ever going to sit down and try to do some, let's say, realistic simulation trading, I'll first go through and configure a simulation account. And I configure that a little bit more so than I ever did with NinjaTrader 7. And so with NinjaTrader 8, and I'll actually switch my workspace and go back over to my account dashboard here. And in the account data window, I can right-click on an account, and then I can either right-click and then I'll go Edit Account here, or I can add a simulation account. And if I go Add Simulation Account, which might be a little cleaner, I can give it a name, and more importantly, I can set a commission risk template, max order size, max position size, my initial cash value, my Forex lot size, which Forex lot size, that's your kind of default Forex minimum, what you consider a minimum trade, whether you're a micro, mini, or standard Forex lot trader. And then a minimum cash value. This is a cash value that you can't drop below. And so by setting risk templates, which you can select one, we've got a couple set up by default, and you can select these. You can click a view to take a look at what properties are here. So here's all the instruments and settings for commission values for each one of those instruments, and I'll show you how to quickly configure those here after this. You click OK, and now I've just added account 1 here, and it's a fresh account. And let's say I've done enough trading on that account and I want to reset it. I'll right-click, go to Edit Account again, and there's a Reset button down here. I just click Reset, and it says Resetting this account cannot be undone. Are you sure you wish to continue? Yes. So then I'll click OK. Now I've got a fresh account with a fresh $100,000. And so what I'll do is kind of configure something more to what I will actually be trading with. So let's say I want to do a cash deposit of 20K, and then by setting my risk and commission templates, as I submit trades, I'm going to only be able to use up actually $20,000 worth of margin. If I go over that, it's going to reject orders, and if I stay under that, then we're all good. And same with commission. As I place trades and I have P&L for the day, it's going to include commission on that P&L. That way I get a better idea of, am I actually ahead for the day or am I down for the day, since I now need to factor in commission. And we've got a few set up by default, and you can configure those by going to Tools, and we have Commission and Risk. So if I go Tools, Commission, here I can kind of copy one of the defaults if I want a good starting base, or start completely fresh. I can do general commission rates, and I can do per instrument commission rates. Same story with risk templates. Risk templates are a little more involved. I usually won't set up one from scratch, but use this as a default. And on the instruments that I trade, I then will use the risk settings from my broker. So that way I get kind of an idea of, am I over leveraged? Am I using, am I not going to be able to trade 10 contracts of ES? Okay, not going to be able to do 10. Maybe I can do 2, and that's based on these margin settings on the simulator account. So just getting a little bit more out of that simulation account and using it for more realistic simulation. And by the way, guys, I know I'm running through quite a few things, and I'm touching bases on a lot of things here and there. Please go ahead and put your questions in as we run through. We'll do a Q&A session at the end. I'm not sure we talked about that at the start, but we'll do a Q&A session at the end. Come back through and answer some questions as we get through the initial content. All right, and then so I want to talk a little bit about a feature we added called Confirm on Window Close. Definitely a lifesaver. So generally, whenever I get a workspace set up that I'm pretty happy with, I'll go in to Tools, Options, back to my configuration settings, where we've dropped in here quickly for market data, preferred market data providers. But we've got a bunch of options here, which I recommend anyone that's going to use NinjaTrader as a daily platform goes through these options and make sure that they understand what they do or what they can do, at least at a cursory level. And one of those options is Confirm on Window or Tab Close, which is right here, and I can checkbox that. And it does just exactly what it says, since there's cases where you get in a rush, you got your email open, whatever happens, and you end up clicking X, you want to get out of the product, and it says, are you sure you want to close this window, yes or no, and it just saves you from losing that window and having to reconfigure it again. So definitely something I like to turn on. And coming back to tools options, I talked a little bit about skins earlier in my intro slide. Skins are available here. I've got that slate gray. You can go to light, dark, and check them out. I recommend you just kind of load a few and see what works best for you. We've got some various other options here as well. Again, I definitely usually set up, and if I'm going to set up NinjaTrader to use on, let's say, a VPS, which is getting, I wouldn't say more and more common, but it's fairly common to use NinjaTrader on a virtual private server or even your own server and run a NinjaTrader strategy. Let's say you've developed a strategy and you configured that strategy and to throw log alerts in case there's a certain condition, or you just want to be emailed when, let's say, you get disconnected from your provider, something has happened, in which case email log alert messages too. You just plug in your email address there. That will allow you, and you also need to set up a share service, which I'll talk a little bit about if we have time in the alert section. But that's how you would go through and kind of automatically get emails based on disconnections, reconnections, any kind of error condition you want to be aware of when you're running NinjaTrader for a strategy. We've got a share services here, which I'll come back to that. Share services, again, something new in NinjaTrader 8. You can just click to add a service. These give you the ability to kind of connect to the outside world with NinjaTrader. That email share service is the one I was talking about later, where you can kind of configure an email server. We've also got stock twits, so if you want to post let's say I just entered a trade on ES and you want to post that from NinjaTrader, I'll probably show you a little bit about that. And then same with Facebook or Twitter. And Twitter is actually an interesting use case. I actually did this one time. I was running through what I did is I set up just a random Twitter account, and I actually would set up an alert based on a condition and triggered that alert to tweet. And then I followed that the Twitter account on my phone and just kind of got updates from Twitter based on an alert condition. I also kind of can use it to, let's say, anytime I get into a trade, I want to just document that, long ES at this price, thinking about long ES this price at this time. And so you can use Twitter for that too. Just an interesting use case for that. All right. And then as far as general platform tips, let's see what else we got on our next slide here. Okay, yeah, getting into charts. I want to get into charts a bit. Charts is arguably one of the most used windows in the product. There's definitely a lot of little tricks to know about charts to get the most out of them. Let's go through a few of those now. So one of the things that we can do now is we can customize the interval selector. So let me drop back out into the product and let's go to demo workspace number 3. Yeah, okay. So demo workspace 3, I've just got some charts set up here, just 2 for simplicity. And I've got a bunch of indicators on them. We'll come back to them later. But what I can do is I've got the toolbar now, which holds the instrument, obviously, and the interval. And when I select the interval, we've got an upgraded interval selector here where we can actually customize it. So you can see there's a configure button down here. So let's say, for example, you're actually a fan of, we've got 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 here for ticks. Let's say you're a fan of the 233, 466, all these kind of charts. Maybe you have different tick ranges you prefer. So what I'll do is come in here to configure, and I've got a dialog box. I'll drop down here to tick, and I can go ahead and edit these values. So I can go ahead and select this to, for example, 233. Maybe that's my base. And click OK, and now I've got 233 as my value on the selector. And I can add additional chart types here as well. So usually what I'll do is I'll customize and rein this in to what I typically will be using. Is one of the first things I'll do when I get into the product. However, I'm a big keyboard user. I use keyboard for a lot of little shortcuts. This is nice, especially whenever you don't have easy access with the keyboard in front of you. Maybe it's off to the side or something. But if you are a keyboard user, learning these shortcuts in the chart will allow you to quickly get around. So let me actually switch. I have this set up for a different demo. So let me go back to this workspace here where I've got a couple of charts just linked for instrument links. And what I want to do is unlink this chart. Actually, this chart here, let's do the bottom left here. So I've got this on a 2-minute chart. I've got it on 6E, 12, 16. And I've got some indicators here. So you can switch the instrument just by dropping down here and going into the instrument selector, which, by the way, has been upgraded as well, since you can pin instruments to your instrument selector and common instruments pop into here as well. But I'll get back to that here in a second. But if you get used to working with the keyboard, you can actually type just as fast by, let's say I want to switch to the ES 1216 contract. I'll just start typing ES, and then you'll notice as I get this selector here, this is the instrument selector, and I can go ahead and do ES space 1216 and press enter. And so now I've just switched to the ES, and so if I want to go back, 6E 1216, and you get pretty fast at doing that. But more importantly, and you can do that on any window in the product, so I can do that on the Superdome, for example. And I want to change to the ES 1216. Now this one is interval linked with the red link in the top right-hand corner, so all my charts will change and my time and sales. But you can do that on any window in the product. Charts has some added functionality though. You can actually switch intervals as well. So I've got a 2-minute chart here. Let's say I want to go to a 4-minute chart. I type in 4 and then M for minute. I click enter. And now I've just switched to a 4-minute. I want to go to a 10-minute, 10M, enter. And every chart type, except for maybe point and figure, maybe one more, has a shortcut letter to type into it. So if you want to go to a daily chart, it's 1 day, because you can have a 5-day daily chart or a 10-day daily chart. You type in 1D for daily chart. Now I've got my daily chart on 6E. I want to switch to a, let's say, 233 tick chart. 233 I type in, then I type a T for tick. So I've got T for tick, M for minute, D for daily, and I've got RE as well for Renko. If you guys use Renko, I've got, and all of the shortcut types are available in the help guide. So if I press, let's see here, go to the Internet Explorer page I had up before. Let's open up a new page, NinjaTrader.com. Go to help. Go down to, let's see, platform help guides, NinjaTrader 8. Come down here to operation, charts, and then we've got working with price data, and then we've got a section in here called how to change the data series. We've got using the interval selector here, and then we've got also changing and adding intervals with the keyboard. So this is the working with price data section and our available suffixes. So we've got minute, tick, V for volume, R for range, S for second, D for day, W for week, on and on. So you can actually get really quick switching between charts. In fact, that's my primary way. I never go up into that anymore, and I'll just quickly, switch between, quickly switch between charts just by typing it in 1D, 1M. So if there's one thing you pick up on navigating with charts, using the keyboard and quickly switching between, I want to go to my 60-minute chart, 60M, that's a gold mine there. All right, and then before I move on though, I did almost forget another interesting thing is, let's say you want to work with multiple data series in a chart. You can also quickly do that. You can do it the old way, the old-fashioned way, which is right-click on the chart, go to Data Series, get the Data Series dialog, come in here, select an instrument. Say I want to add the ES to this chart. It's added a 60-minute. I can click OK. I've got my 60-minute chart added below. Let's say I want to do that a little faster. I can actually do plus ES 12 space 16. Using the plus keyboard, a shortcut there actually adds the data series. And then there's another shortcut, which you can actually use in any window as well. Let's say I want another tab. I do plus plus. So I'll do plus plus. Maybe I want the YM 1216. Click enter. I'm going to get a new tab with the YM selected. So some interesting keyboard shortcuts. All right, using visibility toggles, I'll cover that. That's quickly turning on and off pre-configured indicators, so you don't have to remove them and re-add them. And then I'll also get into the show date range and middle mouse click for the mini data box. A lot of people don't know about the mini data box, and it's a shame because I use it all the time. And so let's go ahead and get rid of that added data series, so we're back to where we left. And as far as adding or setting the visibility on an indicator, I'll go into the indicator dialog. Let's say I want to quickly, I have a stochastics configured. I've got it configured how I want it. And by the way, visibility is fine on these kind of system default indicators, but really where it becomes useful is when you have an indicator that's got a lot of input parameters you got to set up. That's where it gets really useful. So I'll double click on the indicator dialog, and I'll go to stochastics, and there's a visible property in the visual section here called here, and if I turn that to visible unchecked, it does what you think it does, just sets it to no longer be visible in the chart. But if I want to go right-click indicators again, it's still in the configure list. I can just make it visible to quickly toggle it. So that's visibility, and you can do that with drawing tools as well. I actually tend to use it more with drawing tools, to where you can go to drawing tool. You know, I want to put a region highlight. Region highlights, by the way, are new in NinjaTrader 8. So let's say I want to highlight a specific section. So let's say I identified this section. You know, I come down here, measure. Maybe this is a support resistance range for the day. I've got this range set up on this chart. You know, it was useful. Now I can go ahead, right-click, go to Properties, make it visible, uncheck it. Now it's no longer visible. Now you might be wondering, how do I get it back? I go right-click, Drawing Tools, and there's a new menu object called Drawing Objects, which simply lists all drawing objects on the chart in a list. I've got my region highlight here, and I can just set its visible, back to visible. There it is. So that's just kind of turning on and off some drawing objects if they get in your way. The next thing we've got is the data box and the mini data box. So the data box, most everyone that's used NinjaTrader charts knows about. They'll usually play around with any of the stuff on this toolbar here, and it's this little icon here, Show Data Box. And I'll go ahead and open that data box and just move it down here over top of this dome here. And so we've got the data box, and the data box works as you would think. It's just a display of the data on the mouse cursor point in the chart. So I've got all my bar data in there for my 60-minute chart on panel 1, and I've got my volume indicator, I've got an ADX, I've got a MACD, and I've got a stochastics on here. And so if I want to get in and dig into some of the numbers, the data box is definitely useful. And if you don't want to use up the real estate for a data box, I'll actually just use the mini data box, and I do that by using the middle mouse click on my mouse. So for some mice, that's holding down on the scroll wheel. For some mice, most mice, I would say that's it. For some, it's actually a separate middle mouse button in the middle, and you just kind of click that, and you're going to get this mini data box that follows the mouse where you go. And it just gives you a quick bird's eye view, and you can do that on anyone. So like here's the volume price, here's the ADX price, here's, I shouldn't say price, but value, here's the MACD value, here's the stochastic D and K line values. So you just want to quickly dig in, get into a number, get out, mini data box is your guy. I still will use the data box when I'm doing some indicator or strategy development. Most specifically for some new features we've got in there, which is if I right-click on the data box, I've got the ability to turn on show bar indexes and show bars ago. So if I turn those on, not particularly useful for non-developers, but let's say you are trying to throw together an indicator or strategy. It's nice to be able just to go over here, oh yeah, this is bar 76 of 91. This is 15 bars ago. It just really helps with debugging. You know, if you're writing some code referencing a bar 15 bars ago, you know, instead of getting out your, you know, pen and paper to try to count back number of bars, you can just open up bars ago here. Just nice debugging tool. In the past, I'd always have to just set up a drawing tool to paint that value bars ago in the past, but not anymore. All right, so that's the data box and mini data box. All right, let's pop back into our outline and see what's next. All right, equidistant versus non-equidistant bars, and also after that we're going to get into some alert use cases, and we're also going to show some color configuration and some expanded color configuration we have in NinjaTrader as well. Which is, I'll sometimes just plug in an RGB value into the brush picker. I'll show you what I mean by that. So, equidistant versus non-equidistant bars. And before I get too much started here, let's see how we're running on time. 3:22. Terry, are you still there by chance?
Yes.
He's on my own seat. How long do you want to run this for?
We can just start the Q&A now. We have quite a few amount of questions.
Okay, I mean I still have a little bit of content to get through. Let me get through these alerts and equidistant bar spacing, and then we'll see where we're at.
Okay.
If that's okay, Terry.
All right, sounds good.
All right, cool. Thanks, Terry. All right. So equidistant bar spacing. I did set up a demo workspace for that. Let's go to demo workspace 4. I believe is the one I set up for that. And I've set up this workspace. And I've set up this workspace to show, I wouldn't call it the old painful way, since definitely some people like to work in this method. This is what we had in NinjaTrader 7. For me, I definitely prefer one of the new features we have in NinjaTrader 8, which is, and I'll explain it for those of you that have not used NinjaTrader 8 yet, or even have not used NinjaTrader 7 yet. Bar spacing comes into play when you have multiple data series on a chart. We've had multiple data series capability for a long time in the product, and one of the things that happens when you add multiple data series on a chart, and let's say I want to add, let's say Apple and Microsoft, or ES and NQ on a chart, since I feel there's a correlation. I'll add those data series to a chart, and I've got my standard chart plotting here that was standard in NinjaTrader 7, which was equidistant bar spacing is disabled. And what that means, a big word, but simply put, when I have multiple data series on a chart, there's no way to, let's say, equally space them in cases where they're just not evenly divisible by each other, the number of bars, meaning you might have a 3-minute chart combined with a 5-minute chart. You're never going to be able to space those together because they're just going to have overlap. In which case, the solution in that case is just to plot it based on time. So you say, here's the amount of pixels space on the x-axis down here in the bottom, where I'm kind of clicking on this x-axis and dragging it to rescale the chart. And you say, this is the set amount of space for 1 minute at a time. And we just stuff the bars in there. And you can see here, if not a lot of trading goes on, let's say we've got our kind of session break here as well, but you can see how they're all just unevenly spaced. Looks a little messy, not quite clear. And I'm using a 200 tick chart of ES, a 400 tick chart, and an 800 tick chart of ES. So these all are divisible by each other, so we can actually use the default mode in NinjaTrader better to really see it equidistantly plotted. And so by toggling that, I'm going to right-click on the chart, go down to Properties. We've got equidistant bar spacing property now in NinjaTrader 8. That's usually turned on by default. I'm going to turn it back on. And you can see as I do that, now all my bars are I'll say the word pretty. They're all two up. I've got for every 200 tick bars, there's going to be 1 400 tick bars. For every 2 400 tick bars, there's going to be an 800 tick bar. And it's all just nicely lined up. And so this is a real nice feature. You know, you can use this now with tick charts, range charts, and generally best to keep them evenly divisible. You know, if you're going to use a 2 range, a 4 range, a 12 range, you know, keep them evenly divisible so they look good. But definitely something you can utilize now with the product. So it's something that I enjoy using. And then finally, since we are running out of time, I did have additional slide content here. Let's see what we're missing out on, some order entry stuff. Okay, so let's get into alerts a little bit. Let's go ahead and get rid of these other data series, and let's stick with our one chart here. And let's right-click, go Indicators. Let's add an ADX. Let's add let's add some simple moving averages. We'll add a 14. We'll add a 21. And we'll keep it simple for now so we can just kind of keep track. But I've got really 3 indicators added on this chart. And let's say I want to set up an alert on this chart where I have a SMA crossover to the upside, like one we just had here where the 14 SMA crosses above the 21. So I'm looking for long entries, but I only want that alert if the ADX is greater than 25. And so I've got 2 conditions here for a signal that I'm wanting to be alerted on. I don't want to watch my computer all the time, you know, and this can get as complex as you want. And what I'll do to set that up is right-click, Alerts, come into the alert configuration, and we could have a whole webinar just on this. But I'm going to go through it quickly, which is we have an alert. We can give it a name. We can choose when to rearm it, for example, on bar close, never. And it's an alert that will trigger if all the conditions are met. And I add conditions, clicking the Add button. I'll have the data series. And so what I'll do is I'll configure my conditions. I'll go to Indicator. I'll select my 14-period SMA. And I'll say when my 14-period SMA crosses above my 21-period SMA, I'll click OK. And then I can go ahead and hit the Apply button and OK. And then this is a single condition. So what I'll do is I'll hit the Add button again, go to Indicators, ADX, greater than or equal, and then I can select a numeric value. I'll throw in 25. Click OK. Now I've got 2 conditions defined. Now I've just set up a complex conditioned alert, and I can get as complex as I want here. And I can actually set up some actions which are interesting. So I can play a sound to alert me, let's say if I'm in the other room, share a message, show a pop-up dialog, or what's very interesting is submitting an order. So you can actually set up some basic strategies without even having to have programming capability. You can set up this condition, set it up to submit an order on one of our accounts, and have it place and have that alert run, and as soon as that alert triggers, it's going to submit an order, which is definitely interesting. And there's more we want to do in that space. We've kind of got some entry level, let's say, order submission stuff here, but if you guys like it and it takes off, it's definitely something we can continue to do more with. And then I just set up that alert condition, click OK, and I've got that alert running. And I can right-click, go alerts again to see what's currently enabled. And for those of you that maybe are seeing alerts for the first time, I'll go to New Alerts Log. I'll generally keep this open in my workspace all the time. And when that alert actually fires, I'll get the alert entry in this grid row here. And so obviously I'm not going to wait for an exact condition to fire here, but I just keep this up all the time, and that way I'm always knowing what alerts I've got set up, and I'll usually set up a number of alerts. All right, so that's some alert use cases. I'd like to go through more, but man, time is just really getting away from me. Might have to come back and do some more FIO webinars on alerts. And then let's go through discussion outline 3 really quick. There's a few things I'm not going to be able to get to today. I wanted to show some interesting things about kind of setting up instrument lists to quickly get through and predefine any instruments that you commonly work with in the instrument selector. We've got some interesting stuff like using the middle mouse button. We keep that theme going to kind of peek into additional functionality. Let's say I want to turn on my chart trader to allow me to place trades directly in the chart. I'll use this all the time. I'll come into the quantity selector, right click, I've got the quantity pad here, and let's say I want to quickly go up to 10 quantity size. I didn't even have to use the keyboard at all there. I just middle click, quantity pad, pick a size, and I can configure all these sizes. I can also, do math, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, to quickly get to a quantity size, and it's just a quick way to get to order hotkeys. ATM, we have the same situation going on there, where we've got the ability to see some information available on this eye icon here, which typically I'll use all the time. I'll set up a custom ATM template, say 5 stop loss, 5 profit target, save as a template, call it ATM1, and then I've got this ATM1 here. I can just kind of hold my mouse over it. This is something we never did in NT7 either, and just gives you the ability to quickly peek in there and see what the quantity, stop loss, profit target, what it's set up as. Just peek into functionality to reduce the number of clicks you got to do in the product. Since I'm always finding ways to click less. So we've got some things we weren't able to get to today. It leaves some content for maybe if you guys are welcome to having us back. I'd love to continue to cover some more things that I commonly work with the product, and I want to share the gospel on and see if you're able to put it into your trading techniques. Here's some of the things that we weren't able to get to today, but again, wanted to make sure we have time for a QA session to get through your questions. Terry let me know we had quite a few coming in. So with that being said, appreciate you guys stepping through some sample workspace setups and some sample tips and tricks and settings that I'll run through on a new NinjaTrader setup. And with that, thanks again, and if you want to stick around for a QA session, I think, Terry, you're going to take the lead with some questions.
Yes. Give me 1 second. I've actually already texted Mike and said we may try to do another NT webinar in January.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. We'll try to get one scheduled when we can.
Because we have quite a few questions, and I don't foresee us getting to all of them, but I'm going to try to get the ones pertinent and then direct the rest to support. Let's see. What brokers what brokers outside of Ninja's own brokerage is the multi-license open to?
So you can view that on our website. I'll go ahead and pop open to our, usually I'll just go to the buy platform link here on our NinjaTrader.com website. And on the own, lease, or free here, you can just select the combo box here. And this will show you all the brokerage and technologies we support.
Okay, perfect. How many workspaces can you have open at one time?
Workspaces, that's a good question. I've never tested. Theoretically, you can have as many as you want open. However, there's some workspace tips here that definitely are worthwhile to get into, which is with this icon in the Workspaces menu, as you see the icon, you can see that, and it's a little hard to see on the webinar perhaps, but there's a green foreground here and a green background on these two squares. And the green foreground indicates this is my active workspace. The green background indicates it's an inactive workspace. If I have inactive workspaces, it makes it easy for me to switch between workspaces. It loads very fast, but you have to think that, or you have to consider that all those workspaces are currently active and running in the background of the PC. So think if you had everything open, it definitely will have some CPU drain and RAM drain on the system. However, we have done a lot of optimizations with NinjaTrader to, for example, not calculate indicators which are not currently being used or visible on minimized, or background charts won't be updated. We've done a lot of little things to help with that and continue to make it optimal. But if you're not using a workspace and it's just sitting there, like this workspace here I'm not really using, Untitled 1, I'll want to come into the Workspace menu. I've got a bunch of options as I get there. One of them is Close. I'll select Close. I'll be prompted to save the workspace. I'll click Yes. And when I do that, you'll see it no longer has the icon, since now it's just it's a closed workspace, it's not active. And so if you want to save workspaces, I recommend you don't have everything. Imagine every combination you tried out open all the time, but just have some of them closed, and you can reopen it. I mean, as you can see, I'll go and switch over. It didn't take that long. I mean, this was a really simple workspace, but so that's let's say Workspace 101.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Okay, it says he really likes the tab feature in NT8 charts. And I see how easily you're setting them up in the control center. I'm wondering if there's an easy way to create a tile-style view of my charts that allows me to switch between a large view of individual charts and a separate view of, say, 6 or 9 smaller charts at a time.
So for that, we actually utilize our Workspace feature. So what you'll do is I'll reopen that Untitled workspace that I wasn't using, close this out. I'll go File, New Chart. I'll pop open my charts on my big, let's say I want to have a tiled, so I'll make my first tile here I want it. Right click, duplicate a new window, drag across, change the instrument if I want, duplicate to new window. So I'll kind of create this first setup here. So then I'll save a workspace here. This will be my, let's say, quad workspace. Call this Save As, call it the quad chart workspace. And then I'll go through, set up another workspace, very similar, get the charts smaller as I need them, duplicate to new window, get them all set up, and then I'll save you the few extra steps needed. Then I'll do Save As on this workspace. I'll call this the 8 chart setup. And then you'll just switch between these workspaces, and that's the mechanic we have for that. So you have the 8 chart setup and then the quad chart workspace. So you'll just kind of switch between those two workspaces. So I'll switch to that workspace, loads it for the first time, go to the 8, and so that's how I switch between chart setups.
Okay. Let's see. Is there an easy way to duplicate chart workspaces?
Yes, so Workspaces, back up to Workspaces here. Let's say I've got my quad chart workspace how I want it. Let's say I don't want to destroy that workspace, but I would like to, let's say, start with that as a base. I'll come over here to Save As. I'll do Quad Chart Workspace 2. Click Save. And so now I'm open in that workspace now. I can make any change I want. I add an indicator, whatever I need to do, and then I can just switch back to that other workspace, which when I hit Save As, I'm now in that workspace. Now I've got to go back and reopen a new version of that. So now I've got both workspaces here, Workspace 2 with the indicator and Workspace 1 without.
Okay. Will NT8 save drawing levels when the contract is rolled?
Great question. That's something we did add in the product. We did not have that in NinjaTrader 7, so whenever you did the rollover to the next contract, you'd have to redraw those drawing objects. Now, if you do the rollover, go to Tools, Database Management, and you go through the rollover using this rollover button, will actually port over all the drawing objects in, using the offset at the time of the rollover. So if you and offsets, I don't want to scare you away on that term. When you have futures contracts, for those of you that are experienced in futures, you're aware of contract rollover, and then that you need to have a offset on your prior data to get the data to, let's say, sync up, since they're actually two contracts trading at two different times, and you're kind of rolling over to the next one. And when you do that rollover, you want to move everything up so that, or down, depending on its offset, so that the highs match as you would expect, and we do that with the drawing objects as well.
Okay, I can't find the question in the list right now, but I remember there was a question and it piqued my interest. On the rollover, is there a way that you can like set the rollover to occur, say, 5 days before the expiration date?
Right now we're just doing rollovers on the actual rollover date or after. If you want to roll sooner, you actually need to go through and adjust the instrument rollover date. And you do that by going to Tools, Instruments. Let's say I want to roll the ES sooner. Open up the ES, go down to the bottom. It's contract months. And we're going to be coming into the 0317 soon, which, by the way, mark your calendar, that's 12/8 is the rollover date, which is coming up 2 days from now. Let's say I wanted to roll today. I would select the rollover date, select today's date, click OK, and then I should be able to go in here to Tools, Database Management. I see the ES. I see now the current expiry is on 12/16 on all my charts. I've got 0317. I should be able to, let's say, just roll that one. I'll click for rollover, and it will say rollover futures instrument. We'll update the expiry, blah blah blah, and should be able to roll. And now this contract, interesting. Okay. Well, we just had a bug in our rollover. So let me pull that back up.
No offense, but I like when we break stuff.
Yeah, that always seems to happen when you got the recorder on. I'll try it again after the session to see if I can get anything reported there. Might have to do something with me setting the rollover date sooner. Since your question gets me, we don't have a really good rollover update beforehand process, since a lot of, we find, at least in our experience, a lot of traders tend to want to roll over on the rollover date. And so that's where we kind of really set everything up for. We don't really test early rollover cases that often.
Okay. I know
so
personally, like I like to roll over usually the Monday before, or a lot of times just following the volume as the volume starts to dip. But
yeah, and on ES it's pretty reliable. Usually volume rolls right on the suggested roll date, but definitely on some other contracts might be worthwhile to look into.
Okay. Just a little tie-in question that, let's say you make that change, is there an easy way to reset it back to the default? So let's say I went and accidentally goofed the date up and I want to try to get back to whatever the default was.
Yeah, so that's Tools, Database Management, and then we've got the Update Instruments section here. And with NinjaTrader 8, we've actually put all of our instrument data, all of our trading hour data, our commission data, our risk data is all located on a NinjaTrader server.
Okay.
And when you start up NinjaTrader, it's going to query all that data from our server, so we can actually update stuff on the server and have it pull. All the NinjaTrader clients will pull the current version of all the data. We did not do that with NinjaTrader 7. We actually had to do a product release update and reset instruments to kind of get that new data in. We've optimized that. And so what you're doing here is you're going to go to Update Instruments, and then you're going to select Remove User Added Instruments here. And this will remove any user changed stuff. And then I click the Update button here, and it will go through and reset everything back to default. So if I click that, it'll go through and run. It ran, and now that expiry that I changed on ES will now be back to the 8.
Perfect. Will the account properties risk control close a position when max risk is reached, or does it just prevent new entries if risk has been exhausted?
So right now we just prevent new entries if risk is exhausted. Having something, what they're kind of referencing there is a term I've heard thrown around. It's like auto liquidation, things like that, where you would, close out of a position. It's definitely something interesting to look into in the future, but right now we do not do that.
Okay. Let's see. Can you show how to set up the market analyzer to be green background if above an indicator, or red if price is below it?
Sure. Pop over. I think I had a market analyzer on this workspace, I believe.
And then there was a question with that, another question about customizing the market analyzer, so we can tie into that afterwards.
Sure. I'll go ahead and get connected back again, since I was rudely interrupted. And then, Terry, did I lose you by chance? I kind of heard your audio kind of kicked out.
No, I just muted because I was taking a drink.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no problem. All right. Okay. So back connected here. So again, remind me, Terry, just customizing the cell background was the question?
Let's see. Can you show how to set the market analyzer to be a green background if above an indicator, or a red if price is below it?
Got it. Okay, green background if below. All right, so what I can do is, the only thing I've got ability for now is to set the cell condition background based on a condition. And I'll do that by right-clicking, going to columns, and I can go to like the ABX value here, and I can go to the go down to conditions, cell condition. I can add a condition, click add, and this is similar for those of you that have used NinjaTrader 7. We've had similar functionality, which is change the color for the background to the foreground. We use background, again, it's self-explanatory. Foreground is usually for text, and I can set the background to something like crimson, and then I can actually override it with a text value like ADX is greater than 15, or whatever. I can do anything there. And then I hit my condition here where I have cross above, equal, greater, and I can do greater, and then I can do a static value. So if I wanted to do, if, what am I on here, ADX, if it's greater than 25, turn it red, something like this. And so now I've got red ADX displayed, if greater than 25, and that's the cell condition limits. We don't have to completely answer that question. You couldn't, for example, let's say compare that against, let's say, another dynamic price value, and that's something that would be a feature for us to look into in the future.
Okay. Let's see. How can you change the skin on the market analyzer? That was the other question.
Skin on the market analyzer. So we don't have per window skin. What we do have is application skin.
Okay.
And so I can change the entire application skin by going to Tools, Options, and then I'll go to General here. I've got my skin selection here, and I can switch back. Let's say you're not a fan of the kind of dark colors. You can go back to a light. I click OK. I should get a message box that says you must restart for NinjaTrader skin to take effect. I click OK. I'll go ahead and close, and then I'll just go ahead and restart. And now it will display with the light skin instead. Okay, Terry, is there any more questions? Or?
Yeah. I'm just, it looks very, very stark. To see it in white and not the black, it looks very,
Oh, it's quite different.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me personally, I'm a fan of the dark. You know, I turn the lights off if I could.
All right, let's see. On the market replay, do they have to change the instrument date every 3 months, or is it a continuous contract?
You actually have both options available to you. You can do the primary contract like you would in real life and then roll every 3 months. I suspect this question is coming from somebody that is using market replay for testing a strategy. In that case, if your provider supports the pound-pound-pound-pound contract, then you can just utilize that. I don't think we have downloadable contract data for pound-pound-pound-pound anymore. So it's something where you need to record that data from your provider and replay it. Otherwise, you're just kind of rolling it forward as you would a traditional trader would, since we try to mirror these traditional setup and playback.
Okay. Can you show how to save a chart? Like once you get your the chart laid out the way you want, how you can save it?
We got lots of ways to save things. Let me run through all three. I believe there's 3 levels of saving stuff.
Okay.
That this is probably the reason for the question. Saving the chart itself, let's say I got this chart in this top right-hand corner, configured how I like it, it's the right size, whatever. Let's say I actually, I right-clicked on the window and let's say I turned off the Show tab. So I got rid of the tab. Okay, all right. So I got rid of the tab, got some better screen real estate. I want to save that change. In the workspace that I'm on, I'll actually just come to my demo workspace and I'll save that. So now next time I start NinjaTrader, it's going to have that tab disabled with what I changed. Now let's say I want to actually save a template that I want to, let's say, apply on this chart. Now I right-click, go down to Templates, and I've got the ability to save or save as default. Save as default, just as it sounds, if I open a new chart, it's now going to use this template. Or I can just click Save, give it a name, no tab chart. Click Save, whatever I have there. Right-click, go down to Templates on this chart, load, no tab chart. Now I've loaded all the settings, and I've kind of moved all the settings over to this other chart window. So you can see the tab is now gone. So that's the second way. And then finally, I actually recommend just using the templates, but you also even have the ability to right-click, go to Properties, and you can actually even preset properties on a chart as well. So you can save, let's say you've got a specific color set you like, but you don't want, and you want to use that specific color set, you want crosshair, you want to turn on the crosshair, you want to have these properties, you can actually preset a list of properties. And that way when you open a new chart, it'll just use those lists but not pull in the, let's say, indicators you have applied that also get saved to the template. So you've got 3 levels of saving there. Hopefully not confusing. Each one has a different use case. You just kind of got to, it makes more sense once you kind of get in there and play around with it.
I like the presets. I like to be able to set the stuff the way I want to when I first open the chart. That's a nice feature.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I don't. I'm trying to. Let's see. I think that's the gist of the questions. I had one question I'm trying to find now.
Any idea the gist of it, or?
Uh, can you show some of the customization on the DOM?
Yeah, I wanted to get into the DOM and show some of the order entry stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple
Um,
questions people asking about order entry and stuff. They didn't. So I guess I'll leave this with the last question on some of the customization and order entry in the DOM, and then we'll we'll end it there.
all right, sounds good. So what I'm going to do here is I ended up opening a bunch of workspaces here, so I'm going to close these workspaces here just so we have less time connecting here. Closing these workspaces. So again, just kind of cleaning up. I made a little bit of mess there playing around. So cleaning up. And then I'll go ahead and get connected. Now we're in, let's see, extended trading hours right now. So we're not going to see a lot of good data right now. But we do have, it's like a thin market here on 6E. Maybe we try yes here in a second. But on the DOM, let's go ahead and right-click on it. So some of the things we've done, we've got for the dynamic Superdome users, we've got the new move into the DOM. It auto-freezes it so you can kind of place an order and come back out. We've got the ability to add columns and indicators on the DOM. Columns being, if I go here to columns, we have a new NinjaScript object called a Superdome column. And we've got APQ, which is approximate place in queue, notes, P&L, and volume. And so if I go ahead and let's just say add a volume column, for example, this will go ahead and load one-tick historical data for the current day. You can select your trading hour template here and click OK. And you get this loading up top here. And now I'm not going to get much volume here since, again, we're in aftermarkets trading. If I was to be in regular trading hours, I would get my volume display here, and we've got our columns. You can actually try setting this guy to, let's say, default 24/7 trading hour template. Let's see if we can get some volume on that guy. Yeah, okay. So we can change our session hour, trading hour template for a volume column and get a volume display. We've also got various other columns such as P&L, which will show you just your P&L per position. Let's say if I was to, let's say, buy market here. I'm long one here, and now I've got my P&L per row, and you can kind of customize these columns quite a bit. And if you load up with a lot of columns, I actually recommend you turn on this feature called Trade Control on Left. Since you can see here, as I keep expanding, all our windows in NinjaTrader are fully kind of resizable. And this starts to look a little silly. You don't need that much space down here for that stuff. So I'll throw the trade control on the left. That way you kind of just get a better optimized layout similar to what you might have in, let's say, the chart trader. And kind of load up on some columns. We can also add indicators to the DOM as well by right-clicking, going to indicators. We can add, for example, our EMA. And the indicators we can add here are any indicator that you can plot on price series. So you're not going to be able to add something like volume since there's just no really easy way to visualize that. And if I click OK here, I've now got my indicator band here, EMA on 1 minute data. And you can customize that color for that band. But a whole new topic, and we won't get into much detail. We'll leave it at a cliffhanger, but one of the things that I like to use quite often is I'll submit a limit order here right on the DOM, and I'll click on that limit order, so I've got the hand, and I'll hold down Control on my keyboard. And you'll see as I do that, see how that indicator row says attach now? So as I hold down Control, I've got attach, and it shows me EMA, and I can go ahead and attach this indicator right, I should say attach this order right to this indicator value, and it's going to say I want to attach it. Yep, that's the EMA I selected. I can select an offset. Let's say I want it to be, you know, 2 ticks below or whatever. And I've got this option here as well, modify it toward last price only. This is useful primarily for stops. Let's say if you want the stop to only move tighter towards the current price and not move back away when that indicator starts to fall back away again. You can turn that on as well, and you can just click OK. And now that indicator is driving that order. So if that indicator goes up or down, that order is also going to follow. And to turn that off, I'm going to right-click on that order to get to my properties on it. I'm going to get to attach to indicator, and I'm just going to turn it off. And so now we're detached again. And I could have done that just by moving it by hand as well. But it's interesting to see what you can do with that, since you can actually do some interesting combinations, like set up an ATM strategy to automatically submit your stop losses and profit targets. So let's say you want to, you're a, you know, you got your classic scenario of, you know, some automatic go long one of the 6E, and I want to put a stop in right away 10 ticks below. I would then use my ATM strategy for that, same as I would with NinjaTrader 7. And then let's say I had a parabolic SAR indicator on the stone, and I'm looking at it and I decide I want to start following that with my ATM strategy. I then would click on my order, left click on, hold down Control, click on the parabolic SAR on the indicator, and it would start following using the parabolic SAR value. So more we can talk about there. There's some options and some things to know when you're going to start doing that. But that is a topic for another webinar.
Okay. I just have one little question. Is that attached indicator only available in the DOM, or can you also do that in ChartTrader?
It's also available in the ChartTrader as well.
Okay.
So
very cool.
yeah, you can just, I'll maximize this chart up so you can see it. And then add the ChartTrader. And then I'll add an indicator. I'll do that example parabolic SAR just like I did before. I'll I'll right click and do a, let's say, you know, a buy stop market. So I've got my order there. I'll click on the order, and so as I click on the order to move it, just like I would, so I'm clicking and clicking here. This is just manual order moves. And what I do differently if I want to attach it, I do the same thing I do in the DOM. I click it, so I've got it kind of attached to my mouse here. I hold down Control, and you'll see as soon as I do that, it snaps and it says attach, and then you just left click, and then you're able to just attach it to that indicator value. So that's how you do it.
Very cool. Okay, thank you for your time today, for the information, lots of good tips and tricks, and I'm already working on trying to book part 2 for this webinar in January so we can come back and look at some more.
All right, cool. Well, it's been a pleasure. I always enjoy jumping in here on the webinars. We've had good success on our release of NinjaTrader 8 so far. We're happy to see how things progress. And as a product manager here at NinjaTrader, I'm excited for what in the next few years we're going to be able to add to our next generation platform. So very exciting times here at NinjaTrader, and I'm glad that you guys were able to join us.
You too. Have a good evening.
Alrighty, thank you, sir, and thanks everybody.